unmute the mic
Oh,
first, and then we're good to go.
hey,
Hey, so
welcome.
yep, we're getting notes from the green room. Like, we can't hear y'all. There we go. Hey, so it's Wednesday. Thanks everybody for joining us on a not our normal night. Although these delays are becoming more and more common, I feel like.
I do. We were like so good our first year, and then I don't know.
Well,
Life is life.
yeah, lot going on.
I don't have my
lot going on.
I don't have my buddy clipped on, so he's gonna have to hang
Yeah.
on.
So hey everyone, so this week, thanks for joining us here on Wednesday. It's not our normal Monday night. We had a big weekend. We dodged the hurricane. We were in Miami for Miami TCG Con, hanging out with artists and one of our guests who we'll have on later, and that was a great time.
It was amazing.
26 Lorcana artists.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And a bunch of Lorcana players, and that was a lot of fun. We always enjoy the Miami TCG Con vibe. There was a smaller Lorcana tournament this year than last year because of all the set champs, but way more artists. And that was
so many artists. So many artists. It was amazing to get to meet so many new people that we have not like met or like talked on the phone with before. So that was incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spent more money than I should have.
Mhm.
I actually meant to queue up some of the sketches that we got just to show off what some of these artists are doing. But I didn't have a chance because it's been crazy. So hopefully next week we'll be able to share some of those sketches. But if you like original art and drawings on Lorcana cards, some of the Lorcana artists are doing more and more, and it's just amazing.
It's amazing. It's incredible to see like their evolution that like all of them have had over the last year and their art that they're creating on their art. It's just every single convention we see them at, they're just like leveling up their game. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah.
Whoa, you changed what the comments look like.
Well, yeah, I did a little style change just to see. I'm not sure I like it.
Okay. Sorry, that just threw me.
Yeah, we'll see. A lot different this week. It's on a Wednesday, change the comment color. And so yeah,
You're
so then
just going crazy.
I know. It's yeah. So then after Miami TCG Con, we drove very late so we could do a day at Disney on Tuesday before.
No, we went on Monday. We were not at Disney yesterday.
Well, okay, we were at Disney Springs yesterday.
Yeah.
But we did Magic Kingdom on Monday, which is why we weren't here.
Yes.
And that was a ton of fun. We got to see some of the hurricane prep. I hope everybody in Florida is doing okay right now. I know it's about the time things are going to start getting rough. So thoughts going out to everybody there. But we did catch the last flight out of Orlando, and now we're here.
Yeah.
So yeah,
got back at like midnight last night. So skin of our teeth.
And I bought a shoulder buddy.
Yeah, we bought two.
Yeah.
But the other one, Elena decided to make a toy. So that's
true.
So, nice.
So next week we'll probably talk a little bit more about Miami TCG Con and show off some stuff from there, talk to some artists. But this week we're going to talk a bit about set championships. We are now in the swing of things. We had our first real, I think, weekend was last weekend where we saw everybody competing. We got to see what's doing well, and we're going to talk to some guests about that. So if you're playing in set championships coming up, we'd love to hear what you're thinking of playing. If you played last weekend and you're here watching, let us know in the chat what you played and how you did. If you won a Mirabelle, let us know, and with what deck you won the Mirabelle, because we're excited to share it. And yeah,
I'm super excited about the guests this week. I'm going to be able to hang out for a little bit before I have to once again go back and work. But yeah, I'm super jazzed.
Yep.
Some incredible players and creators,
and people.
Yeah.
So anyway, TCG Giraffe in Orlando says doing well here so far. Wind has picked up quite a bit. Thoughts go out to all of you. Hopefully the store calms down quite a bit by the time it hits Orlando. So thoughts with you all. But anyway, let's bring in some guests and chat a bit about set championships. Let's start because he's up in the middle of the night, all the way from the UK.
From Scotland.
Yeah, that's true. From Scotland. It is Earlmeister.
Hey, Earl.
Hey. Oh, no.
Hello.
Hey. Thanks for joining
What's
us.
up, guys? Thanks for having me again.
Well, thanks for coming on. I appreciate it.
No problem.
I have to say, big fan of the channel and the stream, of course. I think we were episode 4 of your interview series, which was a real awesome honor, and I'll never forget that. So
thank you for doing that. I really do appreciate that.
You're so talented, Earlmeister. It's kind of crazy. So thank you for coming on our show.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Those of you watching, you're probably familiar with Earlmeister. He's more famous than we are, but Earl has been doing amazing things with his stream, playing on Pixelborn Connect, playing with physical cards, but testing out all sorts of brews every day. I feel like you're playing, something new, 2 or 3 decks, showing us the possibilities, and you're constantly brewing.
Yeah. 19th deck today, actually.
Wow.
Um, Something spicy, blue yellow support Mufasa. It performed better than what I thought it would be because this is my third attempt of brewing blue yellow, and it's one of those colors that it's really hard to make it work. But today, I think I found the perfect spot for it. It's still not there, but yeah, we just continue brewing every day. And in my stream, one of the things that we like to do is to explore the game, enjoy every single part of it, because it gets boring when you're playing the same deck over and over again. So yeah, we I buy a case every set. And I think I mentioned this to you guys before, and it's just a shame that a lot of these cards are sitting on my collection binder and boxes and not being used. So when set 5 came, I'm like, all right, instead of playing one deck and doing good with one deck, I'm not gonna be that person who is um how would I say this? Like always trying to prove himself with just win rates and stuff. I'm like, let's explore. Let's have a great time, I think with Bucky being gone, this might be the perfect time to finally check these decks out. And yeah, that's what we did, and it went really well for me. And I think everyone is having a great time doing it or watching it.
Yeah, I mean, I sure do. Because it is, you do have the meta decks that have been around for a while, and the popular, but it is fun to see something different.
Mhm.
And yeah. So anyway, love your streams.
Well, I think for newer
Thank you.
TCG players, like proving to folks that certain decks that you might want to play or ink combinations that you just really want to have work can be competitive in some instances. So some of these more like unique brews that you have, um, it's really fun as a newer TCG player to like see the possibilities, and like I don't have to play Emerald Steel. I don't have to play Ruby Amethyst. There are other options that can be fun, and win some games.
Yeah, definitely. That's one of the goals as well. Try to tend to different viewers, whether it's competitive or not, or whether it's they just really like those color combinations and they want to make it work. And one of the things that I like to see as well is that I am super proud and happy when I see people like taking my decks and playing with it and finding success, especially the ones that are non-meta. I do believe that in TCGs that even if you don't play tier ones or tier one decks, there's still a chance that you can win a tournament. Like I remember during the time when I brewed my Steel Fossa. It's instead of a steel song that's everywhere, I'm like, why don't we make a Mufasa deck with steel? I mean, all the cards are there. There's so many good cards in steel. And the following week, I get a tweet where I'm tagged at, and it's like, yeah, I just won a 30 people tournament with Steel Faucet. I'm like, that's freaking awesome. Like, I want to do that.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the fun things. Actually, I do want to talk about this a little bit more. I do want to bring in our next guest, but the lead into this is as we start to talk about some more deck lists. That's the fun thing about set champs is there's a lot of local metas and there's a lot of opportunity to play yeah, some different stuff. Take your opponents by surprise and do well. But before we talk about deck lists, and for those watching, I know a lot of people are here to see lists and stuff. I do have about 4 queued up, one from each of our 3 guests. and then one that I found because I love it and it's my favorite color combo. But
I wonder what color combination that could be.
it's the best color combination. But before we do that, let's bring in our next guest. I am super excited for the first time on the channel to welcome Dale Bellido. Dale, thanks for joining us.
No, thank you for having me.
I was going to talk about your credentials before. I usually talk about people's credentials beforehand, but I wanted you on first because you have so many numbers that I wanted you to correct me if I was wrong. But Dale comes from a lot of other TCGs, but Yu-Gi-Oh, I think primarily, but has made a real big splash in the Lorcana space. I think you might be if you're not the only, you're one of the very few players with 4 day 2s in Lorcana challenges, if I remember correctly, and you have a golden Mickey from Chicago.
No,
No,
no. I'm gonna the Chicago was the smaller event where they only gave it to top 4.
Oh no, that's right. Oh
Yeah,
I was looking
it's
and I saw
okay.
your top 8 finish, and I was like, oh, he's got a golden Mickey. Oh,
Yeah.
sorry.
It's so close.
No. The Nats invite is there, but
That's
you're
okay.
right. You're right with the 4. Only 2 people have the same, so it's me and DKP with 4 in a row, and Zach is the other one with 4.
Good
Zach
company.
Bivens. Yeah, so I'm happy to be with those guys for sure.
Yeah. I am getting a correction. I'm going to bring one of our 2 stat keepers here to correct me on one of the stats. Carolyn.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
Yeah, Dale and I have actually been talking some on Twitter about this
Yeah.
this week. We're working on a database that will hopefully be aggregating both North America and EU, Earl, to bring together sort of all the data from DLCs. I'm calling it the DLC Performance Tracker. Basically, taking everyone who's made day 2 at a Disney Lorcana challenge, whether it be in North America or in Europe, and aggregating their place, their points in Swiss, the deck that they played, what team they're on, their social medias, things like that. So it's a lot of information all in one place. It's a lot to work on, but B Squared sort of got this idea in Toronto when he was not casting. He was watching y'all, and he heard you asking some questions. I think it would be really great to have these numbers. And then Tannen said something about I think if you tallied up how many Swiss points that all the day 2 qualifiers have across all the events, I think Zach Bivens would have the most. Spoiler alert, he was right. But that really inspired both me and Brandon to go, okay, we need to have these numbers somewhere. So I'm working on it. I promise I'm actually working on it right now behind the scenes. But yeah, you and Zach and DKP are the only 4-time day 2 qualifiers as far as I'm aware, which is pretty incredible.
That's so incredible.
These Yu-Gi-Oh players, man, they're taking over.
There
That was
might
a
be
different time.
tonality there.
All right. Thanks, Carolyn. I can't wait.
You can send me back to the Shadow Realm now.
Can't wait for that data. We'll see you again later. I hope you all prepared for Disney trivia. All right. No, that's incredible. Like excellent. I mean, amazing performances. You're one of those that we see on stream like every time, and I don't know. Yeah. So thanks for joining us. So set championships. Before we talk deck lists and stuff, because I know I've asked each of you for some and some thoughts. Just generally, what are your thoughts on the prizing this time around, and Mirabelle's going to the top 8 instead of the top 4?
I think that top 8 is fine. Like it's definitely much better because of it's a soft competitive tournament, right? It's nothing major. So going in there when you get into top 8, it feels good to get something instead of okay, I got the top 8, and then you lose top 8, and you're like, okay, I spent like 6-7 hours today just for a promo card, and I couldn't even get it because I got to top 8. The only thing that I would say is like make top 4 maybe a little bit more special, and do foil on top 4 and non-foil on top 8. I think that might solve it, but I really don't mind top 8 at all. Like with all these promos, like I said, it's a soft competitive event. It's not a major one.
Yeah, I definitely agree with. I like top 8 cards. Top 8 going to all prizing. I think it's on the onus should be on the stores that are running it to differentiate between the top 8 instead of maybe reprinting or having 2 different sets of promos. But at the end of the day, I think I played 1 set champs. I only plan on playing 1, and the environment was just a little easier, a little more fun, and it's people aren't dodging certain players to play at a different like especially in our area, in my area, people aren't dodging to try and win a card. It's like they could experience a more intense tournament, a more competitive tournament while still winning something. So
Yeah, I tend to agree. When I first heard it, I was kind of excited. And I know there were some mixed feelings, because of how competitive people thought the event should be. But I do agree with both of you. I think it's led to it feels much better when you make the top cut and you're not like, you're not losing first round after, in some cases a 6-round day, especially for some people who aren't used to playing in these competitive events. But then also, yeah, it just seems like the atmosphere this time, and I haven't played in one yet, full disclosure, but just looking on social media and seeing people's posts and the people who are winning a promo card and set championships for the first time, like the atmosphere seems to be a lot more fun and celebratory this time around. I don't know.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I definitely feel that with everyone. Only thing that I would say about the set champs is that can we please get a better choice when it comes to the promo card? Like something playable would be nice. Or maybe Mirabelle would be playable someday, but yeah, like card choice would probably be the biggest thing. I think they were spot on the first choice with Stitch, and then Ursula just it fits set 4. It's Ursula's return, and then all of a sudden we get Mirabelle out of nowhere. It's like, okay, this does not fit set 5. This is not the theme of set 5, and at the same time it's not a playable card right now. I'm like, what was the thought behind that?
yeah.
That's my only issue.
I'm just praying for the next set champs to be one of the Dale cards as the Enchanted.
No,
So,
that would be awesome. That would be perfect.
That's all I'm praying for. But the collector in me does not like top 8, but the community spokesperson for my group loves top 8 in the card, and whatever it is, I'm happy for. Of course, I'd love to play. I'd love it to be a playable card. I'll play every Enchanted possible. So
yeah,
they're meant to be played. So
hey, I know I've seen your deck.
Very, very shiny.
Yeah,
I agree with I think especially from a set champs perspective, focusing on community building and bringing in players as partnered with, hopefully DLCs becoming more readily available for the more competitive players to attend and strive for, having an opportunity for newer TCG players to kind of get a taste of a competitive environment outside of League, to kind of practice for a DLC, I think is a really great function of these challenges. And I think that having the promo cards for top 8 is in the spirit of that, which is we're getting ready to go to a DLC. We're practicing and getting ready for these bigger competitive events.
Like these.
Yeah, go ahead.
I play them. You know, I don't sell mine. I don't let it sit there. I remember on Sunday night after the DLC in Birmingham, I was playing with Tim Schindler or Schilder. I could never get it right. He's, if for those of you guys who doesn't know, he's the manager for the game dev manager, and he's like, I like that you're playing that. And I'm like, yeah, it's not supposed to sit there. And I'm not trying to make money off of these set champs. I just want something playable. And then I'm like, so why Mirabelle?
Yeah.
I get mine scribbled on, so I can't. Yeah, no, I agree. I think the nice thing about Stitch was it was a throwback, and it was cards that people like enjoyed from previous sets, and so getting it in that enchanted form was really great. So
they should have done Bucky.
All right, yeah. Special edition, that would have been special edition RIP Bucky.
Yeah.
That would have been something. Before we so I do want to talk kind of the thumbnail deck here in a moment, but since you mentioned it, Dale, you know, let's talk about your set championship deck that you sent me. Yeah, it's I don't think anybody will be surprised. Here we go. Maximize this. It is green steel.
It's green steel.
It is green steel. I mean, this deck is not. And look at the and one reason look at it. That was shiny.
There's so many shiny cards.
Yeah. If you followed my journey through the DLCs, all 4 events are topped with green steel. Innovated throughout. So even post Bucky, I was 2 players in Toronto still played green steel, one a little more aggro version, and I brought in the morph version. So what Zen ended up winning with in Vegas was actually debuted in Toronto. It just I got knocked out in 32 by something very unfortunate. It's a highlight on with Liam, but it was Judy hard casting under the sea to knock me out. But yeah, this fairly standard now. Huge surprise factor going into Las Vegas, and it was one of those decks. It wasn't tier 1. No one called it tier 1 going into Las Vegas, and it left tier 1. So similar to what Earl says, you don't necessarily have to play a tier 1 deck for it to become a tier 1 deck. Everyone gave up on green steel because they thought Bucky kind of just carried the wave, but I stuck with it. The green mechanic and the steel mechanic, just as a Yu-Gi-Oh player, it gives me everything that I'm looking for in a deck. And when broken down, cards that give you free information, multiple draw engines, to me it's just the perfect combination of cards. But other than that, this was my set champs deck from this past weekend. Unfortunately, I had to leave in top 8. I didn't have enough time to play the whole tournament. I read there was only one nearby on Saturday, and I had to message the store and ask, hey, I know you have a 32-person cap. Is there any way you could make room for one more? And they're like, if we do that, we have to follow the policy and make it 6 rounds. So they made it 6 rounds for me. Unfortunately, I ran out of time, so I had to go. But yeah, this is my Mirabelle winning deck.
Spicy. I mean, it's fun.
Standard now. I love it. It's still there are a little bit of changes, but this is an evolving metagame to what the last DLC is going to be.
That's true.
I just wanted to add to what he was saying. Yeah, it wasn't like a tier 1 deck before, except that if you watch the Lorcana streams, I did test this 1 week before DLC, and I said people were asking me, "What do you think about green steel?" I'm like, it's tier 1 that's being slept on.
Yeah.
And yeah, all of a sudden, NA. It's just like, bro, like where are all these green steel coming from? And there's so many green steel on day 2.
Yeah, it is funny. You're right, like Dale, you've been piloting this for ages, and Earl, you saying it's being slept on, and actually there's a number of other people who said, a lot of people were like predicting it was going to do well, and I'm blanking out on. So I know B Squared called it. Who else called it? Was it Spessy who predicted it as well? But then but it kind of came out of nowhere. Like everybody, when Bucky left, everybody's like, okay, that deck's done, and then it just out of nowhere in Vegas. Shout out to a couple other folks. I see Aaron Rubin here in the chat. Also, piloted this in Vegas. So yeah, I don't know. Fun deck.
Lorcana Bro actually brought a lot of eyes back to it, playing it the weekend before at one of the bigger cash tournaments. So
yeah,
for me, I always knew I was running green steel going into Las Vegas, and I was hoping no one would play it and it would completely fly under the radar. But literally the Friday event there's no tournament coverage of Friday. It was literally a lot of the top players and everyone with the green steel deck trying to refine it. Like the most recent champion Zan, former champion Ed, Brian, champion of Chicago, was kind of just watching, and everyone had a pocket green steel deck. So it was Las Vegas's worst kept secret that a lot of the top players had that deck in mind, and Friday kind of just reinforced everyone's decisions. If you listen to Zan's interviews, he'll tell you Friday he was working on the deck and he refined it perfectly for his magical run. Ed's testing team, a lot of them did well. Chris ended up second as well too with the deck they worked on, and everyone's deck is close. It's funny when you have the top players all working independently, but come so close to having the exact same list. Like Zan and my list were, I think, no more than 5 cards off. Same with Zan and Chris. Everything was so close, and it just goes to show that, a lot of great minds think alike when they're focused on one thing, trying to get the championship. So
yeah,
I'm just happy to know I was thinking the right thing.
Right.
Although I was knocked out in 32, I'm happy with it still.
No, you were
Still so impressive, man.
Yeah, and you set the tone. Like I'm sure that your builds, inspired some of that. And you mentioned Aaron. I got to watch. So that tournament that you're talking about that Aaron played in was at my local LGS, my LGS, and I actually commentated a couple games with 20 Lore Pro, and I got to see 2 of Aaron's matches, and he just, it wasn't even a game. He played, meta decks. He played, I think I actually saw him play Ruby Sapphire twice. And he was like playing by himself. And I was like, man, this, it's going to be messy in Vegas.
Yeah. I just got a bunch of messages throughout the day that, hey, Lorcana Bro is playing green steel. I'm like, oh, well, there goes some of that. And yeah, we all know the story.
Yeah. So. Speaking of like decks evolving and secret being out or whatever, I want to talk about Blurple. I want to talk about Blurple because for a few reasons. 1, it's just a fun deck. 2, I put it in the thumbnail, so we kind of have to. And then 3, it's a deck that I have seen. It's always been kind of in the wings, and I think last set, people played it just for fun, and maybe somebody would bring it to a set championship. And for some reason, this set championship round, like over the last week, I've seen multiple Blurple lists either topping or finishing in the top 4 of set championships, including at Miami TCG Con, where we were last weekend. There was a small-ish tournament, but with a pretty cool prize, and a Blurple list topped that. And as we talk about Blurple, I'm going to bring in here the winner of the Miami TCG Con tournament. He goes by Hazed, but it's Mikey. Mikey,
what's going on, guys?
Congrats.
How you doing?
Hey,
nice to be on here with you guys.
Thanks for joining me. I have to ask first. You're down in Florida. How you doing?
Yeah, apologize for the background. I had to bring a lot of stuff inside so it didn't fly away. but we're down in South Florida, so it's pretty much away from where the most dangerous parts of the storm are. But just to be safe, we kind of, get some stuff inside.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, I hope everything is goes well and it's not too bad where you're at. So if you need to go, let me know.
No, we're good. We're good.
All right, good. But hey, thanks so much for joining us, and congrats on the finish. I do want to show off here your prize.
Yep.
Miami TCG was it was a small, not a
That's
huge
so cool.
tournament, but look at this thing. What a cool prize.
Yeah, it was a blast of a tournament, but the prize really kind of sent it off for me. I've been a Blurple believer since set 5. I actually took it to an event called SCG Con in Tampa. They kind of travel around and do some Lorcana events. They had 2 1Ks and a 2K over the weekend. I top 4'd the 2K and top 8'd the 1K with Blurple. A lot different version than the version I took to TCG Con. But I love playing the deck, the tools it has. I think it's very, very the tippity top of tier 2, I would say. But it's a blast to play, which to me is the end all be all for what deck I choose to play.
That's awesome. So I'm going to look at your list here.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you describe this deck? For anybody not familiar with Blurple and what it's trying to do, can you explain kind of the script of this deck and what your win con is?
Absolutely. So a lot of the time you're kind of just ramping ahead into these big threats that make your opponent freak out and figure out how they're going to answer it. You also have to play some units that are, you're playing to board to keep tempo because Blurple doesn't have access to a board wipe like a Be Prepared or Under the Sea or Grab Your Swords, anything like that. So exerting cards is super important. And then using overstated creatures like Madam Mim and Merlin Crab to help boost some of the smaller creatures is what you're doing, really. Just playing the board, outvaluing them, and then you have a few options that are kind of one-ofs because you have the bounce ability to reuse those one-ofs. So when you do see them, you're able to use them multiple times.
Yeah, I don't know. Earl and Dale, have you all messed around with this before, and what are your thoughts on this deck, this build?
I have, and as a green steel player, obviously there's a bunch of cards that I already don't like seeing, and it says anti-GS at the top.
Yeah,
so it's funny. So I want to talk about why, not to pull us away from this. It's why green steel became one of the best kept secrets or worst kept secrets in a sense going into Vegas, because some of the problem cards that were on that list, like Pinocchio and Peter Pan, were taken out, letting Diablo. Everyone was starting to discount Diablo and taking out the cards that really gave it a problem, making it a perfect storm for Vegas. So going forward, green steel will have its actual work cut out for it. But Blurple, like you're saying, it's a top tier 2 deck. It's probably entering 1, at least a 1.5. It's close. And it similar to like green steel going into Vegas. All it takes is more people playing it. Like I was once more people have their hands on that deck and realize like the top end, it can match top end. It can weather a lot of board clears and super resilient. The one-ofs, I'm a big fan of one-ofs. I love one-ofs coming from a Yu-Gi-Oh background, that if you need it, you keep it. If you need to reuse it, you can find a way to reuse it. Yeah, the deck looks great, and you can go so many different ways with with Blurple right now.
Mm-hmm.
And like I still think there are a few cards away from making the Shift Merlin insane. But it's one of those cards that I will never sell any of my foil blue or foil purple stuff because of that.
The couple of things I like to talk about, because it's not as apparent when you're straight up looking at the list if you haven't played the Blurple combination before. But a big question I get is, oh, well, how do you ever beat red blue? Like that happens a lot. Like, oh, because it's one of the big bads outside of green steel. How do you beat red blue? Blurple has the capability of keeping up with ramp. And then when Blurple is on the play, you can tap down their Flaversham before they're able to quest with it and kill. So if you have a Fox or Goat out, prep your turn to where you turn their Flavershem into friends on the other side, and that is how you kind of blow them out. Because they don't have a lot of card draw outside of Flavershem. Well, most red blues don't have a lot of card draw outside of Flavershem. So, and that's when I talk about red blue, and then obviously Greystone Dragon. I think that was a big overperformer for me over the weekend. Against red blue, I think I had 20 ink when they were at like 16. Because what happens is I'm just drawing so many cards and I'm not inking anymore. Because anything that they trade 1-for-1 for, anything like that, just fills my inkwell. And I'm just playing everything off the top. So everything becomes a threat off the top of my deck. And they just can't answer it all.
I really like that Spice, the Great Stone Dragon.
Yeah.
I played this day 2 of set 5 releasing, and people keep asking me where's Blurple now, and I'm like, I think Blurple is really close to tier 1, but I think that it's in the perfect spot right now because you don't want this to be tier 1 as a Blurple player, because people will build against you, and
that's why I said it's tier 2.
Yeah, it's a rogue deck. It's like in between, right? It's in between tier 2 and tier 1. And that I think that's the beauty of the deck, because once you start building for this, Blurple is one of those colors that might struggle into the meta if people build into it. But I love your Spice with Great Stone Dragon. I think that's an amazing card, and the library as well is just amazing against red blue, right? Because you can build your deck, you can overextend sometimes, and you're just like, okay, I'm gonna put everything on the library. You B-prep me, I don't care. I'm just gonna draw again, and it almost like goes back to the mirror of like red purple. Whoever be prepared first is gonna lose the game, and you have so much draw to just keep going that you don't care about these board wipes. I'm just gonna refill the board again.
Absolutely.
That's awesome. To me, like the rise of Blurple and what you all are saying about this one of the things that makes this deck good right now. Not only is it a great build, but people aren't teching against it because it's not considered one of the big threats. To me, that says something about the health of the meta. Because now, if you include Blurple, let's say you consider it a tier 1 deck, and you start going down the list of all what you would consider the tier 1 deck. Ruby Amethyst, Ruby Sapphire, Emerald Steel, Steel Song. Gosh, I'm missing some good ones. But you are starting Blurple in, and now you have like 6-7 decks that are all considered very, very playable and able to top tournaments. And now people don't know what to tech against. And so, I don't know. It's not the rock, paper, scissors meta that we'd seen in previous sets. I don't know. What do you all think?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. And just to speak on it a little bit more is when people have seen the deck for the first time, they don't know how to react. And in a best of 2 format, it's incredibly difficult to adjust. For me, the competitive player in me is just looking at this deck and be like, okay, I'm going to do this on this turn to make sure that you don't answer this, or I'm going to put you in different positions. And that's just like my brain, when I see a deck list, immediately is like, okay, how does my deck react to that? But as a new player to have never played against it, you would automatically just lose because you don't know how to create that line. So it's not even teching against it. It's how do you play against it? How do you unoptimize their play by not playing optimally on your end, but when Blurple gets going, you have to just make it awkward. And so part of the reason why Green Steel, and I hate to keep talking about Green Steel because I only ever play one combination, but it's if I don't know what to do, I'm just going to discard your hand. And a deck like Blurple has resiliency to come back. Like a rabbit off the top is insane and just rolls into everything. And yeah, it's the merit on playing, just like Earl was saying, something that's not meta has every deck can any deck can do well. Like when I took Green Steel to Toronto after Bucky, my main reason to my friends, to my testing group on why I was going to play it, I'm like, there's a Mufasa deck that tops every DLC. If Mufasa can top, I can get there with Green Steel, regardless of how it is. And I did, and it actually ended up being a pretty good deck. So
I saw one of the comments come through about Blurple being one of I think is Brandon's favorite decks.
Brandon Hostler, fantastic young player.
Yeah, so Genie was actually in my list when I topped at SCG Con. And you want to talk about surprise factor? You play Ursula first, and they tap out or whatever if you're against Steel Song, if you're against any kind of aggro deck. And then you follow up with playing your Genie, questing with Ursula, tapping your own Genie. And if they don't immediately have something to respond to that, they're just completely locked out. Because then you go into Elsa tapping whatever other exertion you have. They're just locked out. I actually played against someone that was playing Purple Steel in that tournament. And I Genie locked them with their Smees out. And Smee never quested.
No, so mean.
Oh, no.
Smee just took damage every turn until they all died. There's 3 out, and all 3 of them died. So it's such a fun deck. It really is. I've had the most fun in set 5 because I've really had a hard time finding a home. You know, I kind of lean more towards the rogue deck of like trying to attack the tier 1 decks. I played Jafar Will in Atlanta. I got 68th, barely didn't make day 2. And this feels like a good enough deck that I could take it anywhere. And I'm not wondering like, man, is this a bad choice? Like, it's good enough to where I can play through some of the bad matchups where I haven't really felt like that with the deck in a while.
Yeah. I love the meta right now. It's so diverse, and it's like what Dale was saying earlier. You got to know like what you're playing, and this is what I like teach my viewers all the time. If you have a good understanding of archetypes, aggro, mid-range control, and know what exactly you are playing, you'll know how to adjust your play style based on what you're seeing on the board, the card choices that they have. You'll be like, if you're a mid-range player, okay, they're playing aggro. All right, I got to play a little bit more defensive because of the rock, paper, scissors, right? Of like aggro beats control beats mid-range beats aggro. And that's not always the case, of course, but it's nice to have that understanding going into these tournaments because there's just so many different decks, and it's not even like these like Blurple or like Green Steel, right? There are other rogue decks out there aside from these ones, and you got to have these knowledge that okay, I understand my deck. This is the tool that I'm gonna use against these decks, and yeah, I'm super happy to see the meta, and I think set 6 it's gonna be even more what do you call this, diverse than what it already is.
I agree with you. So you mentioned you just teed this up perfectly. You were like, hey, there's other decks out there besides Blurple and all this. You sent me this deck here, which you're thinking about making a run with at your set championships. What's going on here?
So this is one of like my spiciest brew. I've been playing this color combination since set 2, way before Atlanta happened, and I'm so happy when I saw Atlanta happen, and I'm like, yeah, like people are sleeping on this. It wasn't quite there yet when he won. It would never it will never become meta going back to that time, because there are a lot of like tools that is missing. It's more of like, okay, I can win this event because I'm a rogue deck that no one built against, but now I think it's finally there. I was playing this for a whole week before I took it to set champs, and it's just so solid. All the cards, like as a mid-range deck, everything that you want for a mid-range deck is here. You have speed, you have heavy late game stuff. You excel really well on mid game with the crabs, with the foxes, and Moana is just the best character, not the best card for turn 3, but the best character. It's 3/4 body that can quest for 2. It's just so hard to deal with, and people keep asking me, well, how do you deal with Diablo? I'm like, you don't until turn 5. Well, you probably will lose till then. Well, you don't have to directly deal with Diablo to beat Diablo. You overwhelm the board with these big characters. Quest, gain the advantage on that side. You're falling behind with a card advantage, and comes turn 5, deal with Diablo, and then start drawing afterwards. You have 10 million cards that can draw. with this deck, right? Like you have Merlin and Rapunzel and friends on the other side, which is just ultra megatonic. Like when it comes to drawing, it's pretty hard to beat those cards when it comes to drawing. So I really love the deck. It has an answer pretty much to everything. It doesn't do anything the best, but it has a pretty good side against everything. Like if you're playing against red blue, you have Chernabog's turn 1, Wendy Darling turn 2, then Moana, and then turn 5 you have Mufasa. And it's like, okay, well, if you try to remove this, I'm just gonna pull another character and I'm just gonna keep questing with that character. But yeah, it was fun. I got to top 8 with it, top seed going into Swiss. I was supposed to go to top 4, but I forgot my goat trigger and I was at 19 lore.
No.
You might ask, why did I forget? I had a rabbit on 4, Mufasa on 5, turn 6, I played a goat and another character. Be Prepared happened. Mufasa and rabbit, I'm like, do I draw first? Do I trigger Mufasa? I'm like, I trigger Mufasa first. Friends on the other side, and I'm like, no. So I drew it with the rabbit, and then I forgot about my goat. And I'm like, that who forgets a goat trigger, right?
I forgot a Diablo trigger in top 32, which cost me. So
It's rough.
That's even more painful.
Yeah, it's rough. So.
Was it on stream?
It was in that same match, Liam. So.
Oh no!
You know what? Being on stream, there's a lot going on, and I'm as seasoned as the next guy, and even I let that go. So I did crazy. But again, to talk about set champs earlier, just to go back on what you're talking about, the fact that top 8 is a promo, it lets everybody not come with green steel. Mind you, that's the only deck I had, but everyone can come with something different and just test. Like I saw a tweet earlier, and Jonathan Williams, who finished in top 8 of he won a Mickey in Vegas, posted that, hey, I won 2 Mirabelles, one with I think a green purple deck and red blue, just to tell his friends that, hey, I can win with anything, not red blue. So it takes the pressure off, but lets the creative juices flow. And for me, it was my only set champs, and I needed to get a Mirabelle, so I needed to play green steel.
I played with 2 decks already for 2 days for the 2 Mirabelles, red, purple, and then this, and then next week I'm gonna play another one. I'm gonna enjoy the heck out of set champs this set.
Yeah, I love it.
Bro, you should just have colored dice and roll it in the morning, and then make it.
Yes.
I would do that if all of my cards are in the same sleeve, which I'm gonna do next set. But I usually deck the night before. I usually sleep the night before because I'd like to sleep in.
Well, next champ.
Yeah. Here's a challenge to Earl. Earl, monocolor. One color, that's it. 60 cards, one color.
I think it'd have to be purple.
Yeah,
I think so
would,
too.
right? Yeah.
It'd have to be purple.
Yeah.
Green's close though.
Yeah, green's close. Yeah. But purple definitely would be the winner of that mono. I might take you up on that. I mean, it's a good tweet, right?
I'm a fan, Earl.
What'd you play? Purple. And that must be a typo.
Your opponent is like, what's the other color? And then they just keep playing what they should do.
Yep. And I will say, like, at several DLCs in North America, there have been single color decks. And they don't perform terribly well, but like it's amazing how everybody who looks at the stats like short circuits. They like look and like there's all these different stats and all that, and then somewhere on the bottom it's like one all steel deck, and that's what everybody sees, and they zero it out. They're like, I have to know about this all steel deck, and people can't handle it. Yep. Lorcana Curator, just to shout him out, at Atlanta, the first DLC, played an all steel deck. I think it was called Steal Your Girlfriend or something like that.
I love it.
And he didn't do terribly well, but he did say he got to play a Gantu in a DLC, and that
The only time ever.
Yeah, he's probably the only one.
Yeah.
the only Gantu that has ever been played.
Yeah.
Let's see. I've seen a mono steel deck. It might have been Atlanta. It might have been
Yeah.
Atlanta. Anyway, people saying mono. Yep, mono purple at LGS. Yeah, Earl, you've had a couple gauntlets thrown here, Earl. Mono deck, and then I like the die roll idea.
Hey, I might try it. I might try it. Maybe on stream, maybe not on the
Do
set
it for
chance. 'Cause
stream.
that costs
Do it
money.
for stream.
I'm just kidding. But yeah, I'll definitely try that out on stream. I can't wait as well when they release cards that can actually support mono colors. And it's in every card game, right? You have like, if you only run this color, you get this bonus, you know. I'm excited. I'm excited for that.
On the mono note, people have always asked, like, people asked since the beginning of the game, like, will a single color deck ever be viable? And I always said, yes, but only if it's Amethyst, because I will always splash friends from the other side every time.
Yeah.
Like, why would you not? So.
Spot agreed.
Right.
Spot agreed.
Yep.
Speaking of my favorite color combo, just a quick shout out to, let me pull them up. Because I wanted to shout out Lorcana Duo here, taking down a tournament. Some of my favorite content creators, you all should follow him. Patrick there taking down his set championship with the best color combination in Lorcana, Emerald Amethyst. So, this deck is back, and I love it. I don't know, big fan.
I love this deck. I spent so many games for this set. This deck. This is actually my most famous deck out of all the 19 decks that I created, and I believe, weird flex, I believe that it's the most popular highest number that it reached in Dreamborn.inc. Green purple.
Nice.
Yeah,
Nice.
it's at like 93 something K right now. Yeah.
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love this color.
I'm gonna drop a little hot take and say, in Seattle, this is like the green steel of Seattle.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's again a lot of tools.
You know what deck I think beats this deck?
Oh yeah.
Is it Blurple?
I'll let you say it.
So, yeah, I think this is Blurple's best matchup, to be honest with you. So if you think this is going to be super popular in DLC in Seattle, yeah, I think Blurple has a pretty good win rate against green purple.
Yeah. Any like mid-range deck that has a pretty heavy control side, like steel blue, is really good against this. Green steel as well. It depends on like what version, and it depends on what like lines you draw. And Blurple, it does struggle against these heavier mid-range decks. Yeah, because unlike control, at least like control, okay, we can use our aggro side. Let's go vroom vroom against them. But like mid-range control, it's like we can't go vroom vroom against this because they can keep up with our speed.
Yeah.
And yeah, it can be very tough. Yeah.
Yeah. The one thing I want to point out in this list too, no Diablo unless I'm not seeing it. So which makes me happy. And drops the cost of this list significantly.
Yes.
Dale, a question from the chat. Do you think green steel stays the best deck for this meta or not?
I have a lot of different takes. I think green steel, just like we were talking about going into a DLC, is information. There's free information naturally on with the cards that you play. And for example, if I naturally won't know how to play against Blurple, for example. But if I look at on turn 1, his opening 7, I can kind of see where he's going to do it and off curve him. If I miss on turn 1, Ursula 2, regardless of hitting a song or not, gives me that same information. And green steel is a very high skill. Like, I hate to label it, but it is a high skill deck because you could
It's
really
true.
lose. You could lose with just playing the cards. You have to understand the lines, and you have to understand that green steel is a disruption deck. So either you disrupt your opponent's hand, you disrupt their field, or you disrupt their curve. And a lot of people don't understand that with green steel, the power of making them play off curve, where you could still optimize your on curve. So for example, I don't often ink past 3 because I know that between 3 and 4 ink, my plays don't change. But I need that extra card, for example, in the mirror match. I'll need that extra card because from turn 3 to turn 5, I'm going to have a few more turns before I capitalize to turn 5. And it's just making sure I stabilize to get there. Like, the first thing I did when I looked at both your deck lists, like Earl's deck list, is I know that Earl will bully a new green steel player. But I see that his Diablo, he doesn't have a Diablo answer. And he has one Diablo answer late
Elsa. Yeah.
in Elsa on turn 5. But if we do the card count and you don't have too many draw engines going there, if you played every card and inked every card going into turn 5, you'd only have 1 card in hand. And that means I have less. I only need to discard you once.
Yeah.
You only have 1 answer for Ursula 3. So Ursula 3, if you go wide on the board, will let me just pick your board apart. And that's something that a new player just picking up a green steel deck won't automatically know. Like, for example, I may not shift early with Diablo, but I'll shift going into, like, I know, for example, Elsa's strength is more on board clear, not to kill Diablo, but to kill 2 things at once. Elsa is meant to exert something else, swing the Diablo because it's going to stay exerted, and clear off the Ursula that's sitting on 3. I understand that play line. So for me, on the lead up to the Ursula play, I'm going to clear your board so Ursula only gets advantage for 1. But a new player might be like, you know what? I'm going to put my Diablo in the cove, and it's safe from Elsa. But you doing that leaves you a turn with no character play, and there's probably a good chance that there's a crab or a fox or something on board to kill off the cove, and then Elsa will take it down. So again, when I say it's a high skill deck, there's a lot more that green steel can do. And as the pilot gets better with every deck that you play, the deck gets much better. Like an earlier round, and not to take away from anybody, but it's clear that I'm a very competitive player. That
Fair.
the first red purple player I meet is not the same red purple player I meet in top 64. Just like the first Blurple player I play isn't going to be Mike.
Yeah.
Like, the play line versus that. So I have to try and figure out my secret against those decks is you don't know what's in my hand. I know what's in yours. But someone like Mike for sure can decipher that, okay, he's playing this way because he has this. And it's just with experience. And yeah, so to talk back, yes, I still think green steel is poised to do incredibly well, especially in an open tournament because of information alone. But anyone picking up a green steel deck, so my theory is after Las Vegas, everyone picked up green steel and for 1 week was playing and they're like, how's this deck winning? I'm just losing. It's because they're just putting cards down on the board. Like, I'm not discarding their hand and I'm losing my monsters and Diablo is dead. Like, how did they win? It takes reps. It takes understanding that, like, even the mulligan strategy, people will watch me with my hands and they're like, oh, that's a good hand. And I'll mulligan 7. Because the deck is deeper than it appears. Like in the last 5 minutes, I probably said a ton where there's a different level. And there's two ways to approach the game, right? There's competitive Darwinism or social Darwinism. Like, do you want to stay? I'm in the first camp. I am survival of the fittest for me, I don't have enough time to play a lot. So the fact that I found green steel to have all the tools, I don't need to test that much. I just need to see what's being evolved around it and how does this answer there. And when there's too many unanswerable things, I will probably put that deck down. But yeah, great deck still going into the tournament. Don't run into Mikey because he knows what to do against this deck. Same with Earl. They know exactly what to do against this deck.
If I can, just one thing I want to say. My dad plays green steel. He's the first TCG, and he has talked to me about he's going to feel so validated listening to this because he says, you don't understand how turn one Diablo, I get to know what I'm playing against in a 2-round format. And I've always said, yeah, that's really good. It makes sense. He actually got his first Let It Go in Vegas. So that's a big deal. I mean, your first TCG, but he's going to have all the validation hearing you, a caliber of your player of your caliber to say that. So that's, I know he's probably like fist bump in the air right now. I heard you say that.
Yeah. Information is so important. Like they're like playing green purple. There are plenty of times where I considered I'm going to run a 1-of Diablo on turn 1. And I've people give me so much crap for my 1-ofs and 2-ofs, and I'm like, don't look at that. Don't look at my curve. Look at it as I have 9 different tools on turn 1. I have 13, 14 different tools on turn 2. Don't look at my 1-ofs.
Yeah.
Don't make fun of them. But yeah, I considered that because of just like how important information is. If I can see my opponent's curve, I know exactly what to do. I know exactly what to ink. I know exactly what to play. But I just want to follow up on what Dale said about green steel and how high skill type of deck it is. For one thing is mid range in general is super high skill. You gotta know the meta. You gotta know your deck. You got to know which tools of the deck you need to play. And I think green steel takes, just like green purple, it takes it to another level. You got to know, okay, when do I set up Ursula? When do I set this up? When do I ink? When do I disrupt my opponent's hand? When do I play all of this? And people don't know that. And that is why the Mufasa deck list, I haven't lost online with it. And on the set champs, I played against Zan's list, and I know exactly that the list doesn't have Robin Hood on it, and I punished that. I played 2-3 Moanas on the board, and he didn't know what to do, and the Moanas kept singing what do you call this? Friends on the other side. And the thing as well is that when he played Ursula, he knew that I didn't have friends, and I drew it like 2 turns later. So he didn't play the other Ursula. And I'm an Art of War type of guy. I will make you think that I don't have that friends. I would go like this when my hand is good. I will make you, I will get in your head, you know. You have to appear weak when you are strong and strong when you are weak. And the amount of times that I did that to him and play his Ursula on the wrong turns, and I was on the draw as well, and I 2-1'd him. But yeah, you can't just pick a deck like this and expect to do great with it. You gotta put in the number. The numbers in the deck. You got to know your matchups. You got to know the meta, and you got to know which side of this deck are you going to use there. Are you going to use more of the ping side, the control side of the deck, or are you going to use more of the disruption side of the deck against these other meta decks? But yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think so. That's the first time we've heard Sun Tzu referenced on the stream, so kudos there. But definitely appropriate. Also, want to point out, I think I have a list of like coffee mugs that I want to make now, like coffee mug quotes, and I think Dale's earlier quote of when you're not sure, discard their hand. When in doubt, discard their hand is now on the list. I do we have one more segment I do want to get to before we wrap. It's trivia, but first, Dale, there is a question in the chat here that I want to ask. Arwen asks, what watch were you wearing on stream?
I'm a big watch collector, and yeah, it is a constellation. So wow, good eye, because a lot of people don't know what that is, but big watch guy, and yeah, that's insane that someone actually knew that.
I had no idea. Like, I just knew it looked good, but that's pretty impressive. Okay, we got that done. Well, before we wrap and ask for closing thoughts here, how do y'all feel about a little trivia?
Oh, I'm in.
I love trivia.
Let's do it.
I love
right.
trivia.
It's
Sounds like
gonna
fun.
it's gonna be it's a group trivia game. So yeah, but here we go.
I'm back.
Hey, I had to cue up the video there.
Hello, hello.
Welcome back, Caroline.
Liam, I think you need to make a mug that has like a different quote for each like deck archetype. So like
Yeah,
the Emerald Steel one would be, when in doubt, discard their hand.
Aaron, I have new ideas. That is true. I should have them right here on my right, and then depending on the conversation, I can
Pick one up and take a sip. Yeah.
pull the mug
Hilarious.
down. That's definitely the Emerald Steel quote right now. So, so for those of you here for the first time, Caroline is our resident quizmaster here at the Illumiteers. She is always running trivia in the Lorcana Discord server, along with one of our admins, Fergus, and every week here on Monday nights or Wednesday nights, as the case may have it, with our guests. So, Caroline, how's it going, and what do you have for us this evening?
It's going good this evening. Trivia was written mid-episode, as has been the trend for the last couple of weeks. So we did a little theme around y'all's spicy deck builds, or shiny deck builds in Dale's case. So we've got some questions related to specific cards that y'all have in your decks. So let's start things off with a little easier question. This one is actually more about the card than it is about the film itself. What line from the Healing Incantation song is Rapunzel's heal/draw ability called?
It's heal what has been wronged. Heal.
If you've got the card in front of you, I won't judge you for cheating.
I don't have it in front of me.
I do have it. I do have it here. Am I allowed to look?
I won't judge you. If you have it there, use your resources.
Yeah. So it's. I still don't know.
Heal what has been lost. Heal no.
Man, Caroline, this was the easy one. We're in trouble.
Yeah.
What's the ability called on the card?
Heal
Gleam and glow.
Yes, there you go.
Oh, flowers, gleam and glow.
Oh.
Yeah.
There
Okay.
you go. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, it's not a green steel card. That's why.
That's right. Yeah, right.
Don't ask a green steel card question, please.
All right. Question number 2. Mufasa shows up in different iterations, both in Earl's and Mikey's decks. What legendary voice actor played Mufasa?
That's an easy one.
Mr. Earl.
Yeah, James Earl Jones.
And actually, he played Mufasa in almost every iteration that we've seen Mufasa to date, both in the animated, in the live action, in the direct-to-video sequels of the animated film. Like, pretty incredible that someone of his caliber came back to do every single one. I think that's the only time he didn't was in the Lion Guard animated TV show.
I think he even does it in The Simpsons, where
when he does.
When Bleeding Gums Murphy.
Yeah,
that's pretty good.
Incredible.
That should be a bonus point.
Hey, rest in peace.
I'm a massive Simpsons guy, so
noted.
In the live-action Maleficent, Diablo has a human form and a slightly different name. Anyone know what it is?
Oh man, I can see the actor, but I don't remember their name.
I've never seen the live action.
Well, he's played by Harry Potter franchise actor Jamie Campbell Bower.
Mm-hmm.
But
haven't
I'm
seen the
looking for
movie.
the character's name.
It's not Felix, right?
No, it's much closer to Diablo.
Damien.
Would it be Dante?
Good guess, but no.
I need chat's help with this
You
one.
might
Yeah.
need chat to come through for you on
Daniel?
this
Yeah.
one. Has
I don't know.
anybody seen the live action Maleficent? Chat?
Would it be Damon? No.
No.
It sounds like Diablo to me in a different language.
John's got y'all covered.
Oh.
It's Diabol.
Nice.
Yeah.
Ah.
Oh,
Shout outs to
Different-
John.
Different translation of devil, essentially.
man. Usually we don't go to the chat that quickly, but I knew none of us were gonna pull that one.
These are super hard questions.
Oh man.
Question number 4. Elsa and her songs show up in all 3 of your decks. So let's name 3 things that Elsa can create with her powers.
Ice?
Sure. I was more thinking like specifics, like what does she
Okay.
make out of ice?
She
Castle.
can
A castle?
A
Yeah.
castle, yeah.
snowmans
Snowman?
or totems. Yeah, golems. Golems?
Uh,
Like with a marshmallow?
Living things in general, I'll count. as
Living
the
things in
second.
general. Okay.
then ice
Wait.
spikes, like the icicles. But I guess that's kind of the same thing.
You have something in mind, Caroline.
Ew.
Castle.
like water, memory into water, like in the second
Oh.
movie.
Well, I wasn't thinking of that one, but I will count it because it definitely is a major plot point.
Yeah.
The other one I was thinking of was clothes because she makes her dress.
Oh, that's right.
I was just about to say that.
I should know that because I lip sync the song all the time and I do the whole dance, and that's one of like the biggest part of the dance when
Yep. She lets her hair down and she creates her
Yeah.
dress. It's a moment.
Oh man.
Just wait till your little one gets a little older, Earl. She will be watching.
I do it with my niece already. For
constantly.
those of you guys who are wondering why I'm doing that, I do it with my niece. I don't just do it out of nowhere. Like just
I thought it
because
was
I
for your
wanted
wife.
that too. Just
I mean, I sing
never
and dance around
bothered
the
me
house for
anyway.
myself.
Never bothered me anyway.
All right, last question here.
Oh man.
Wendy is a spicy choice in Earl's deck. Her voice actress, Catherine Beaumont, also voiced another iconic Disney character that Earl has built with recently. Who is it?
Earl builds with everything.
Yeah, this doesn't narrow it down too much.
Is it Yzma?
No, it's not Yzma.
Catherine Beaumont.
So Wendy is a
I think I know,
think I
but
know this one.
I
Young-
wonder. I wonder
young
if I'm
British
correct.
actress. No, not Perdita. Good guess. Liam, you want to hop in there?
I have a guess, and I'm wondering if it's
No,
correct.
it's
I know it now. It's Madam Mim.
no.
No,
No?
because it's like the same timeline, right? Well, not really. It's
Chat says Alice.
Wait, Liam, you wanna hop in here?
Is it Alice?
It is Alice.
Yes. That was my wonder. My wonder.
Your Wonderland reference.
Teamwork.
Yeah,
Teamwork.
Yeah, teamwork. Teamwork.
I remember Liam saying it was a team.
It
It was
is.
a team of that year. So
It is. So the one wrinkle here is see I don't write this down. We do have trivia pins coming, and we give one out once per week. I generally forget who I've awarded them to, so you have to remind me. But it's one per week, so you all
Steven's
have to
been keeping
decide.
track, Liam. It's okay.
Okay, good. Well, you all have to decide who gets the credit this week
Who's
for
the team
trivia win.
MVP here?
And you don't have to decide on stream. You all can decide later. But one person will win a pin, and the rest of you have to come back and try again. So,
I was gonna nominate Dale, team morale support.
I know. I was gonna nominate them too. His
All right.
presence makes us even stronger.
Even the chat says Dale's carrying the team. Easy peasy.
Carrying, carried. Who's
Who's to say?
been carried?
That's all right.
Awesome.
All right. Well, we'll take Dale's name down, and Dale will get you a trivia pin for
Oh, sweet.
moral support. And yeah, carrying the team. Carrying
If
the
anyone
banner.
else wants to try and come win a trivia pin, you are always welcome in Illuminator Station Discord. The winner of our games over the course of each month is also awarded the same pin.
That is true. It's another fun way to earn it, and there are games every day. It's a lot of fun. Including
We've been changing it up a little lately. Fergus and I have been issuing some creative challenges.
those have been fun.
His latest question was challenging folks to create a new ability for a Lorcana card. So like a keyword like resist or evasive. I have an idea, but I haven't pitched it out there yet. So
That's funny.
I have a trivia question for all of you, and I'm 100% sure none of you guys can answer this.
okay.
Oh, try me, Earl.
Because even the devs can barely answer this one. So the legendary Gontu, what is his title in the card?
Oh, I don't know.
Wait, the legendary Gontu, what's his title on the card?
Yeah. So we have Elsa, the fifth spirit. What is Gontu? Gontu.
Galactic Warrior?
Captain?
Galactic Enforcer. Galactic. It's Galactic, yes? No?
Galactic is right.
Galactic Federation Captain. Galactic.
Oh,
let's
got
go!
it.
I was gonna say,
Galactic
yeah,
Federation Captain.
I was gonna
Damn.
say, Liam,
I
you
don't
and
know
I were almost there.
I don't know where I pulled that out of. Whew, all right.
He is
Never
your
mind.
meme card.
No one was able to ever answer
I'm-
answer that. Yeah, I asked like 35 people in the DLC because I did like for content. I'm like, hey, I'm gonna give you a super rare card and rare card just for participating if you answer this, and if you answer the second question, you get a legendary card. And that was my question, so I don't have to give away the legendary. I'm just kidding. That's not the only question that I did. But yeah, even the devs, they're like, we know Galactic is there, we know this is there, but they can't seem to get it all together. That's very impressive, Liam.
If I was on the spot, like if you had a camera in my face, like on the, I don't know if I would have been able to pull that out. But
You have a camera in your face right
You
now.
have a
Liam.
camera.
True, but
Right.
I got to think about it for a moment, and I do own 35 of them, so. I feel like
Buddy.
Oh my God.
Buddy.
Yeah,
You may have a problem. 35 tattoos.
that's true. Yeah, I have a lot.
You guys just watch when that card becomes
That card's
meta.
gonna pop off
He's-
eventually.
He's gonna buy a
Yeah.
house with those Gontu cards.
It's true. We now have the Galactic chamber, right? And
do.
and that
Mhm.
synergized with Alien. It's coming. The Gontu
Whenever
meta.
alien synergy comes, Gantu
Yes.
will pop off for
It's
sure.
true. Play an Alien for free. It's coming. One day.
I'm just waiting for a version of Gantu that's subtitled Big Dummy. Because that's what Lilo calls him.
Oh.
That would be
Yeah.
cool. Yeah.
ABC suggested Gantu giveaway. Nobody wants Gantu. Like, so,
People would take any card from you, Liam.
oh, perhaps I don't know. Gantu giveaway, maybe. 35. Yes. There's a story behind it, which I won't tell on stream, but I needed more Gantus, so I have a lot. I bought them when they were like $3.50 on TCG Player, and I'm like, all right, this is it. Before they bounce up, I'm gonna get them now.
Buddy.
It's
Oh,
even cheaper.
buddy.
They're not
Like
$1.50.
$1.80.
This is set one. This is set one. I was like,
Oh, man.
legendary at $3.50. No way.
Man.
That's so
Anyway.
funny.
No,
every
no,
time.
it's really funny.
I do have to say I have a similar story. My husband is a huge Stitch fan, and so when Rockstar Stitch came out, he was like, "That's what I want to play. That's what we're doing." He built his, lemon lime aggro deck, his, just in time to Rockstar Stitch to, whatever else he had in there. And I remember trying to get all of those stitches, how expensive they were and how challenging it was to get product back in the day.
Yeah.
And now that card is less than $1 on TCG Player.
Yeah.
And I told him that the other day and he almost cried.
And there was a time where Flynn Rider was $4.
That's true.
I love
2 costs with Flynn.
Yeah.
I love the Dark Age Lorcana stories with set 1 and how much you had to pay for. I have crazy stories. We all do.
Yeah.
Yep. Dropping like $18 on a Lilo, and
Yeah.
And
I paid $4 for Mad Hatter because I wanted it on my
yeah.
lemon
Wow.
line.
Yeah.
Cusco
$4
was like
for Mad Hatter.
Yeah,
$15
Cusco.
card.
20.
Yeah, Cusco was
$20,
yeah.
We fought over the
$20
Cuscos we
Canadian.
pulled. We
Yeah.
fought
Yeah.
over the Cuscos we pulled because he was playing Lemon Lime and I was playing like a High Five Emerald Sapphire, and we both wanted Cuscos in our deck. And so we had to alternate when we were pulling them. It's like, okay, you get one, I get one.
Yep.
Yeah.
Those were the dark. I like the dark ages.
The Dark
Dark
Ages.
Ages,
The Dark
Dark
Ages. The
Ages.
only Dark Ages of Lorcana. It was great.
Yeah.
It's so funny.
I'm
to
so
tell
glad
people
we're
that.
no longer there.
Yeah. Well, I will say I may have spent $125 on Gantus, but as a result, when I was asked midstream live on camera what his subtype was,
You knew it.
You knew
I
it.
knew it.
Yeah.
I'm
there
so
you go.
proud.
It's $120.
The only person who would knew it.
It's a
Would know
$120
it.
piece of trivia right there.
There you go.
It's a Slumdog Millionaire moment. All right. Well, I could talk to you all night, all of you, but we do need to wrap up. Before we do that, I just want to go around the horn and make sure that people who are watching know where they can follow all of you. Mikey, we'll start with you, our most recent TCG Con tournament champion. How can people follow you and what you're doing?
Yeah, so I'm on Twitter at Hayes62291. We also have a YouTube channel. There's a team of us. We say team, but it's a bunch of us that have known each other since like elementary school, and my dad. So who all happen to be really good at card games. So it's really good to have that community around us. And also being from South Florida, I think I have a pretty very, very competitive community. So yeah, Twitter is probably the best place to reach out. I post most of my deck lists on there, and then on YouTube we post up some deck text and stuff like that as well.
What's the channel on YouTube?
It's Freedom Gaming. Yeah, Freedom Gaming. I think you should be able to find it on there, hopefully.
And I'll sometime tonight get that link into the show notes. All of your
Okay,
Twitter
awesome.
handles, if anybody's wondering, all of your Twitter handles, all three of you are in the show notes. And I'll put up your YouTube channel as well.
Awesome.
So congrats. And before we go, since Googly Glimmers came in late and mentioned it, we'll take a look one more time at your crazy cool playmat. Look at that.
I'm
Look
so
at that top prize.
jealous. It's incredible.
Yeah, the last two, so they'd given me, and I actually am missing two on there, but it's all good. I had to get home. My wife was already mad I was gone all day. But the Elsa and the Hook, I actually kind of got to ask for those. So that was even better because I
That
didn't
is
have an
cool.
Elsa yet. And obviously I wanted Mufasa and Elsa were like, I need to have them on the mat if I can, if there's any way
For your
possible. And then Peter Pan is my favorite Disney movie. So Captain Hook, when I saw Marcel and I was like, if there's any way you could do a Captain Hook, I am all in for that. So it's really cool. I'm going to get a frame for it and just keep it on my wall as like a trophy that, it's just a really cool thing to have a one-of-a-kind piece like that.
I think you have
I
an
don't see
offer in the
Matthew's,
chat.
Matthew's signature is missing. Is he one of the artists that you missed?
Yep, Matthew and Nicholas Cole.
Oh,
Yeah, I know.
both of them are ultra megatonic.
I
though.
know.
Yeah.
But
But
the
it
good
just-
news is
yeah.
both of them are also often at Lorcana events. So
Yep,
hopefully
yep.
you'll be able to catch them in the future.
That's true. It's
That
true.
is true. Matthew makes the rounds. Nicholas does too. And you've got a lot of really hard to get artists, a lot of Sicilian artists on here,
Mhm.
South American artists, and Grace from Vietnam, who probably will not travel to States that often. So I think you got the ones that are the most difficult to get. So very cool.
You've got a fun offer in the chat if you ever run into Googly Glimmers.
Yeah, Gooey wants googly. You're playing that.
Googly the thing.
So there you go. You'll have to travel it and make it happen. It's one of a kind piece. I love it. So congrats on this.
Thank you.
And if you ever decide to sell it, you let me know. All right. Earl, first one in. How can people follow you?
I'm Earlmeister everywhere. Earlmeister on Twitch, Earlmeister on Twitter, Earlmeister on YouTube. I use my personal account in Facebook, so don't send me a friend request because you might feel like it's a bit personal because it is personal because it's a personal account.
That's what Facebook
People
is.
would just add me there, and I'm like, oh, this is not like the thing that you follow. This is my personal account. I'm too lazy to make an actual like what do you call this Earlmeister page there. So but pretty much every social platform I'm there as Earlmeister. Yeah.
Well, that's awesome. And everybody should definitely, if they're not watching you, there are some people doing consistent streams of paper play. Not a ton nowadays, but you're one of the top streams, I think, almost every day, bringing us, paper
5 to
play
6 days
with
a
some
week.
spicy decks. So definitely worth checking out. And Dale, one of my favorite North American Lorcana players at all the challenges. Thank you so much for appearing on the channel. And it's so exciting to have you here. How can people follow you? And in case you forget to mention it, you will be playing in Seattle, I understand.
Yes.
So definitely worth following your journey there. But how can people follow what you're doing?
I'm mostly on. So I took myself off social a while ago, and I just slowly came back because I needed to build a Facebook profile so people didn't think I was a scammer buying cards on Marketplace. So I got locked out of my old Facebook account.
Oh no.
Because I switched phones and it was connected to a university email that I have no longer access to. So I couldn't get that one back. And my the name Dale is kind of like this childhood family name. It's not my given name. I use my given name in Chicago. So if you look at top 8 of Chicago, it shows Demetrius. And that's my actual name. But I go by Dale because it's a family name. It's like everyone grew up, knew me as that. And when I tried to unlock my Facebook account and they asked for my ID, they're like, this is not Dale, this is Demetrius. I'm like, I'm not getting this account back. I'm going to stop. So I just created a new one under another name, under like my childhood name. It's Dio Bellido. Oh, my mic probably just died.
No, you're here.
No, you're good. You're good. You're
Okay.
good. Yep. You're good. Yep.
Facebook, it's under Dio Bellido, and you'll see my picture. I'll put a Lorcana picture on it. But Twitter, I'm more active on. It's Dale at Dale Bellido 1. There's an old other Twitter one that's my old Dale Bellido one that I can't access as well. So don't add that one. And just started a new team and started a new Metafy that I'm going to launch. I should have been doing it a little while ago, but the people that want to take the game to a competitive level, and at the end of the day, we're playing to, some people play for fun. I'm in the camp that when you start to win, it becomes a little bit funner. And yeah, I want to see if I can help people get to the next level, and yeah, everything will be on my Twitter. So Dale Bellido 1.
That's super exciting. Okay, so to find announcements about that team launching and everything else, watch your Twitter.
Yep.
Okay,
Very
that's
cool.
exciting. Oh man, now I'm jazzed. All right, so I'll be looking out for that for sure. Lastly, Carolyn, how can people follow you?
Same as always, Lorcana Bell on Twitter, Lorcana.bell on Instagram. I spend almost all my time on Discord. You can find me on Illuminator Station running games. You can find me in the Love to Lore community, supporting our Lorcana players of marginalized genders as their community admin. I also am on a podcast, Ladies Who Lore. I'll be guesting on a couple of other people's shows here in the near future. I'm everywhere right now. It's Lorcana's my full-time job until I get a full-time job. So here we are.
Well, I, for one, am glad that you're here at the very least every Monday night. So thanks once again. And all three of you are invited back anytime. I always say that after the stream when everybody's off camera, but I'm going to say it on stream here. Anytime you want to jump on and chat, whatever the topic is, let us know. You all are invited back any Monday night. If you're joining us here for the first time on any platform, welcome. We're here every Monday night when we also make the occasional YouTube video, me and my wife, Erin, and you can also catch me on most Lorcana DLC challenges commentating. So thanks for joining us. If you haven't subscribed or followed or any of those things, feel free to go ahead. It means a lot. We appreciate it.